Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1653B, and today's date is August 31st, 2018, and the title of the episode is Plan Confirmed, It's a Go, Systems Terminated. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, we've been talking about how Trump is going to release the declassified information. And we've been talking about Sessions, how this is a plan to make it look like Trump is weak, Sessions are weak, and a plan to support Sessions from the other side, where Trump is saying, listen, he's not doing his job. We need to get rid of him. You know, he's weak. I don't understand what's going on. And of course, what this does, it makes the other side, the mainstream media, the deep state, look at this and say, you know something? Maybe we should keep Sessions there. And we can see when we've been talking about this and making it look like Sessions and Trump are weak, they're playing from a position of strength. And it seems like this plan is working, and we're going to be discussing that in just a bit. But we can see that something big is about to happen. First of all, we have MSNBC, we have Axios, all saying that Mueller is getting ready to drop a bombshell. And they're all out there saying, you know, we're not going to miss a day of work because something big is about to happen. Now, Axios is saying that they have evidence that Mueller's secret files might be released, and we might get some real juicy information coming out of Mueller that's going to be unbelievable. I mean, like the other times where they completely fizzled and it was absolutely nothing? Yeah, made great headlines, and then you find out the truth and he has absolutely nothing. I think what they're doing is one or two things. One, they understand that Trump, Patriots, Huber, Horowitz, they're all going to be dropping something huge. They already know what it is. And they're going to be using Mueller's news for cover. Now, of course, what they're going to do is going to keep Mueller's news up on the screen and not report anything that Huber, Horowitz, or anyone else says. Of course, that will be all over the alternative media. Q will be dropping posts like crazy, and the mainstream media is going to try to steer everyone away from this. Or this is another setup. I believe Omarosa, I believe Cohen, everything that they've done was a complete setup to keep the mainstream media very, very busy. And then you find out there's absolutely nothing. So we see at this time that they're preparing for something big. Now, Trump has continually come out saying, listen, people are angry. I will get involved unless the FBI, Department of Justice, start doing their job. So they need to start doing something, or he's going to be getting involved in all this, which means he's going to declassify all this information. Now, the media is asking Trump if he's going to get rid of Jeff Sessions. Is his job safe? And Trump came out and said, listen, I would love to have him do a great job. And for now, his job is safe, at least until the midterm elections in November. So basically, he was out there telling the mainstream media, listen, there's no firing right now, so we might as well just drop this at this point. And he's also letting everyone know, I just would love to have him do a great job. He has been doing a great job. He just complimented him. Because Sessions and Trump, they are the distraction, while Huber and Horowitz do all the work in the background. We see Google and MasterCard. They cut a secret deal, and this deal has just been found out. Now, Google found the perfect way to link online ads to store purchases. For the past year, Google advertisers have had access to a potent new tool to track whether the ads they ran online led to a sale at a physical store in the U.S. That insight came thanks in part to a stockpile of MasterCard transactions that Google paid for. But most of the 2 billion MasterCard holders, well, they're not aware of this behind-the-scenes tracking. That's because the companies never told the public about the arrangement. Alphabet Inc., Google, and MasterCard Inc. brokered a business partnership during about 4 years of negotiation, according to 4 people with knowledge of the deal, 3 of whom worked on it directly. The alliance gave Google an unprecedented asset for measuring retail spending, part of the research giant's strategy to fortify its primary business against onslaughts from Amazon and others. So all of these companies, they're selling information, they're doing these deals where they have access to your information. There is no privacy anymore, and nobody knows about this. And Trump is out there saying, listen, Google, Facebook, and Amazon, that they are in a very antitrust situation. And he went on to say, I won't comment on the breaking up of whether it's that or Amazon or Facebook. As you know, many people think it's a very antitrust situation, the three of them, but I just won't comment on that. Now, very interestingly, the FTC began an investigation on Google for anti-competitive behavior, but the federal authorities dropped the case in 2013. How convenient. Even though the FTC Bureau of Competition recommended an antitrust lawsuit be filed against Google. So we can see that Q has also mentioned that they were going to be going after Google, Facebook, Twitter, Amazon, and here we are today. This is exactly what is going on. Most likely, at the end of all this, these companies might be broken up. Let's move on to Q's posts. We're going to start off with 1996. Q put up two articles, one both from the Washington Post, and the first one says, the QAnon conspiracy movement is very unpopular, our new poll finds. The other one is Trump's historic unpopularity is a big, important story. So we have two stories saying that Q is very unpopular and Trump is unpopular. And Q says, notice any similarities? Q, why is this relevant? Well, both of these articles are saying that Trump is unpopular, Q is unpopular, but we know it's actually the opposite. They're trying to convince everyone that they're not popular at all. But we need to think to ourselves, mirror. Everything that you hear today coming out of the mainstream media, always mirror it. It's always the opposite. And I've been saying this for a very long time. The deep state, whenever they come out with laws or anything, the central bank telling you that there's no recession, it's always the opposite. Mirror what they're saying and then you'll get the truth. The mistake they are making is bringing up Q and giving them any kind of attention. It's actually kind of funny. These people are kind of stupid in a way, because even if only 10% of readers actually take their time and research Q posts, they'll become followers because they start to learn the truth. So what is happening here? Why are they saying that, Trump is unpopular, Q's unpopular? Because you have to remember, in their warped world, they're trying to condition people. They're trying to condition them to think that, listen, they're unpopular, so there's no reason to follow them. You should be following the popular people. Remember, a lot of the people out there are sheep. They will follow those who are popular. And this is how they're able to move these people around. They don't understand that being called unpopular is kind of like a badge of honor to us, because we know it's the opposite. This is why they take fake polls. This is why they give you the information to make everyone think that these people are unpopular. They're losers. Don't follow them. If you want to be good and you want to be popular just like others, follow someone else. And they're trying to use this to force people away from Q and Trump. But is it working? No, not really. Moving on to post 1997. We have the same thing that Q posted in 1996. And under it, it says, spooks are spooked. Clowns inserted, brackets, bold, Snowden 2 last year. Operation failed. Expect another big coordinated wave, number 3, of attacks by fake news, Q. Now, Snowden was a clown before doing contract work for NSA. They had him disclose their sources of capturing communication so they could work around it. So, the clowns, they tried to send in another agent to leak something embarrassing to the NSA, thinking it would work the second time. So then Q posted post 1998, did everything and put everything that 1997 had, and said, those who are attacked the most are the biggest, all caps, threat. So let's use some logic here. How many the Earth isn't really flat articles are the mainstream media pumping out every week? None at all. Why? Because it's a conspiracy theory. But how many Q is a bogus conspiracy theory articles are the mainstream media pumping out every week? A lot. That should tell you something. Q is not a conspiracy. Because if it was a conspiracy, they wouldn't worry about it. Post 1999. An anon put up, Washington Post why Bezos, Amazon, Q and Trump unpopular. No, they fear Trump and Q. Discredit both. Typical tactic. Q wrote, think about this. Did the Washington Post dedicate resources to conduct an actual poll regarding QAnon? All for conspiracy? Ask yourself why. Well, we have to ask ourselves why. Why would they dedicate resources to conduct an actual poll for a conspiracy? It doesn't make sense. So, did the Washington Post actually dedicate resources? Yes. All for conspiracy? They wish it wasn't real. Now, an anon put up, and it's Kath Mommy 2001. As a reading teacher, I taught my kids about types of propaganda. This is the bandwagon technique. It plays to the human desire to be popular and therefore side with the winners. However, you need to be superficial and worldly oriented person to fall for this. That is why those of us who are here seem to be immune. Those seek truth, especially those who have the power of the Holy Spirit, and by praying for God's wisdom, see right through this. So we can see that they're trying to use all these different tactics, but it looks like it is not working. Post 2000. An anon put up, it sure would be nice to see the truth come out on McStain. I know you can't say anything on the board, but he and we, the people, do not deserve the bullshit soap opera regarding the clown. Q said, to preserve the republic, some in brackets, things must remain buried, all caps. I think it should all come out. The public has the right to know. Anons were very, very angry, saying this is not right. This information needs to get out there. And if we really think about it, McCain is small potatoes. And if the plan has to be completed first before everything comes out, that's okay. But it should come out later on. But a lot of the Anons are saying, wow, look how easily I was triggered just from this one statement. Think about the rest of the population where they hear the truth, how that's going to trigger them. So Q followed up with post 2001, and an anon put up, did the Washington Post dedicate resources to conduct an actual poll? REQAnon. Here's a better question. Does the Washington Post skew all polls? I'd bet good money that they do every single one. And when we all know you don't waste money on a poll unless it supports your claim. There are three kinds of lies. Lies, damn lies, and statistics. That's coming from Twain, Mark Twain. And then the anon put up the New York Times, and it says Clinton has a 93% chance of winning against Trump, shows a little bar graph. It also has Clinton at 91.1%, Trump at 1.6%. Q under there said fake news. Post 2002, an anon put up, truth must be exposed. We the people need it. How can we prevent it in the future? The shit we are going through now if the truth never comes to light. Those who ignore history, that history includes all the hidden truth, are doomed to repeat it. Now, Q put up the following. Ask yourself, who is trying to start a war? Ask yourself, if a missile was launched by rogue actors, what would be the purpose? Ask yourself, what should immediately start a war? Ask yourself, would the public understand the following statement? Rogue actors, clowns, U.S. former heads of state initiated a missile launch in order to force the U.S. into a war conflict against X. Q said, we believe in full transparency. Hence the reason why we are here. Hence the reason why the people are being updated. Emphasis on some things. The world is connected. Some, capitals, brackets, things would irreparably harm our ability to advance. So what's going on here? The deep state has been responsible for death and destruction worldwide, and they did it with the American flag wrapped around them. If these crimes get exposed in the wrong way, then the people will be blamed. America, not the criminal cabal that was doing it in America's name. We, the people, have not been holding our elected government accountable, partially because they lied to us and partially because we haven't been paying enough attention. Post 2003 put up a Twitter link to Donald Trump. Under it says, "Everything stated has meaning. What is the significance of Nellie Orr being fluent in Russian? Is Russian a common language to learn? Why might this language be studied? What position might this language be useful? The form, all caps, requires select skill sets." So the tweet is the following from Trump. Wow, Nellie Orr, Bruce Orr's wife, is a Russia expert who is fluent in Russian. She worked for Fusion GPS, where she was paid a lot. Collusion? Bruce was a boss at the Department of Justice and is unbelievably still there. And Annan put up just a quick bit of reference. Nellie Orr is said to be 56 years old. Give or take, she was born in 1962. That puts her in college in the very early 80s, the height of the Cold War. During the Cold War, learning Russian would have been paramount for any CIA agent looking for a future, as most of the intel was about the USSR in some way, shape, or form. Go read some Tom Clancy books to get feel for the vibe of that era. But the whole reason for learning Russia at the time in the world would have been to make yourself more useful to one agency, in particular CIA. The Berlin Wall fell in 1989, and with it brought about the end of the Cold War. So Nellie was a CIA asset in Russia previously, and she made quite a few contacts there. She kept in touch with others through the years, communicated with them via a ham radio. Now, we see that Nellie was a CIA agent. She learned Russian, and she was out there, and she has many connections. Now, the other part of this was the farm. The farm requires select skills. Camp Perry is known as the farm, a training facility run by the CIA for the purpose of training CIA's clandestine officers, as well as officers of other organizations specializing in clandestine activities such as Defense Intelligence Agency. The existence of this facility is widely known, but has never been formally acknowledged by the U.S. government. Access to Camp Perry is strictly controlled, and all visitors to the installation on official business are escorted at all times. The portion of the original World War II CB base that is north of Interstate 64 has remained closed to the public since 1951. However, the roads and many structures of Magruder and Bigler's Mill are still there, and many are occupied. An airport with 5,000-foot runway was added to the facility near the site of Bigler's Mill. Flight records show that at least 11 aircraft that appear to be owned by the CIA front companies and are believed to have been used as rendition aircraft by the CIA under the guise of charter flights have landed on this runway before. And we can see that this is where these individuals were trained, and it's known as the farm. Post 2004. Q put up a link to Fox News. Gohmert doubles down after FBI dismisses claims Clinton server hacked. Q says, has POTUS made a statement since being elected that didn't end up being proven factually true? All caps. Everything stated by POTUS will be made public. Follow the leader. Focus here. The ICIG declined to comment. So Gohmert first raised the issue of the breach at former FBI Special Agent Strzok public testimony on Capitol Hill last month, asking whether Strzok was briefed about an anomaly on Clinton's emails found by the ICIG officials. Strzok said he remembered meeting with the ICIG officials, but didn't really remember the details. Gohmert raised that exchange in his oversight statement, and he repeated what just took place. Now, the ICIG declined to comment. Strzok was part of the mid-year exam team at the FBI, the Bureau's code word for the Clinton investigation. Strzok, who served on special counsel Robert Mueller's team until his anti-Trump text messages were discovered, lost his security clearance in July and was fired from the FBI. Hillary Clinton's emails were routinely and illegally forwarded to an unauthorized foreign entity, as we know. And the Intelligence Community Inspector General provided further proof that Hillary Clinton was a security risk and a traitor to the United States. Post-2005. And Anon put up, second, Snowden. The U.S. Department of Justice may charge a former NSA contractor with espionage after discovering top-secret documents and enough highly sensitive data to fill 10,000 DVDs at his home in Maryland. It was retired U.S. Navy officer Harold Thomas Martin III, 51, has been dubbed the second Snowden by the press. He worked for Booz Allen Hamilton, the same firm that employed the famous whistleblower who revealed global surveillance programs run by the U.S. Q said, good find, the marathon media is working hard. So what happened here is they tried to push this individual into the news, showing that this is another Snowden. Now, in the case of Harold T. Martin III, he hoarded 50 terabytes of information, and there is no evidence of any of it being shared with anyone. The Department of Justice issued a 20-count indictment against him, signed by who? Rod Rosenstein. So James Comey said that no one would prosecute Clinton for having classified emails on her home server. However, Rosenstein, well, he just did that to a similar case. So Comey lied. To post-2006. Q wrote, emotions cloud judgment. Why is Huber being discussed now? What if the Texas congressman was not supposed to drop that name? Why is Huber being discussed now? Why is Huber all of a sudden being grouped into the anti-Sessions remove, fire, nothing being done? Discussed by right or left. Huber did not directly interview, insert name, Bruce Orr. Huber did not. Huber did not. Sessions did not. Sessions did not. When will Sessions? When will Sessions? Who does Huber work with specifically? Who investigates? Who prosecutes? Team of 470. Will Bruce Orr transcripts be released? Huber plus IG plus 470. Inside or outside of the D.C. swamp? How many members of Congress not seeking re-election? Speaker of the House not seeking re-election. How many senators have resigned or not seeking another term? How many senior FBI have been removed? How many senior Department of Justice have been removed? Nothing to see here. But we should attack them head on in D.C. using a second special counsel. Emotion clouds judgment. So let's go through this. Emotion clouds judgment. Can't think rationally when emotional. Why is Huber being discussed now? Congress has run into evidence that relates to Huber's investigation. What if the Texas congressman was not supposed to drop that name? Huber would be put in an awkward situation. Exposed too early, part of the plan, not sure. Why is Huber being discussed now? Congress knows some things Huber should know, and already does, but they aren't aware. Why is Huber all of a sudden being grouped into the anti-Sessions? Remove, fire, nothing being done. Only Sessions is privy to Huber's activities. Discussed by right or left? The right, although I'm sure the left would love for him to fire Sessions, since it would be another example of his ties to Russia. Huber did not directly interview, insert name. We said this before, Bruce Orr. Huber did not, Sessions did not, Sessions did not. When will Sessions? When will Sessions? Congress seems to know things they think Sessions, Hubers do not know and or are not investigating. Maybe they're right or maybe they're worried. Who does Huber work with specifically? Sessions. Who investigates? Huber. Who prosecutes? Sessions. Team of 470. Working very hard right now. Will Bruce Orr transcripts be released? Not until the sealed indictments come out. Huber plus IG plus 470. Dream Team of 2018. Inside or outside of the D.C. swamp? Outside. You can't run the show in a swamp. How many members of Congress not seeking re-election? 59 not seeking re-election, 3 in the Senate, all Republicans, and 56 in the House, 18 Dems, 38 reps. Speaker of the House not seeking re-election, Paul Ryan. How many senators have resigned or not seeking another term? 3, Bob Corker, Jeff Flake, Orrin Hatch. How many senior FBI have been removed? How many senior Department of Justice have been removed? At least a dozen combined, likely more. James Baker, Lisa Page, Mike Corton, Josh Campbell, David Loffman, John Carlin, Sally Yates, Mary McCord, Bruce Orr, Rachel Brand, Peter Strzok, Andrew McCabe. Nothing to see here. Just because the mainstream media ignores it doesn't mean the swamp isn't being drained. But we should attack them head on in D.C. using a second counsel. Who needs a second counsel when you already have the players being investigated and taking out of power behind the scenes? Hopefully an even more grand scale when those sealed indictments start opening up. Emotion clouds judgment. Can't think rationally when emotional. Can't see the forest through the trees. The work is being done. And you need to be patient. So, again, we can see things are being done right now. Post 2007, everything from 2006 there, and it says, but we should attack while corrupt members of the Department of Justice, FBI, New York Attorney General are still in place. You can't go out and press charges and have a fair court hearing and follow the rule of law if you have corrupt members in the Department of Justice, FBI, and the New York Attorney General. It's impossible. But, Q says, we should use a second special counsel in D.C. Swamp in brackets, bold, team of 20, and wait 2 to 3 years and hope for the best with no control. But logical thinking eliminates emotional nonsense. Big rally tonight. Q. Post 2008 and 2009. Snow White 3 now offline. Q. Snow White 4 now offline. Q. Now Q has used Snow White in the past drops. 577, 362, 240, and Q references Snow White 1, 2, and 5 offline. Now, Snow White refers to supercomputers named after the 7 dwarves. We'll get into that in just a bit. Post 2010 and 2011. Snow White 6 now offline. Snow White 7 now offline. Package complete. Have a nice day. Q. Let's move on to post 2012 and 2013. 2012 says DAC pointing to Killbox 1AZB. Corona 1 now offline. Post 2013. Corona 4 now offline. Now, the CIA satellites are named Corona, so keep that in mind. Post 2014, Q says Corona 8, reroute T83, Corona 8, new control, Corona 8, now offline, Q. Post 2015 says everything in post 2014, says Corona 16, task route Z8301, Corona 16, now offline. Post 2016, everything that we had in 2015, and says blind eyes in the sky, shall we play a game? So let's think about this for a second. Blind eye in the sky. Well, they call cameras in the eye in the sky. And Q just said blind eye in the sky, shall we play a game? This might mean the CIA satellites, NSA monitoring is shut down. So this is very interesting. So servers down, satellites down. Does this mean the mainstream media doesn't get their 4 AM talking points? Or maybe Q will deliver their points and Deep State is flying blind right now. Q is in control of the entire situation. Post 2017. An anon says, I keep getting 502 errors. Anyone else? Q says, disruption and good to go. Q. Now, some anons had some theories on this, and the first one says that the 8chan went down while the CIA Snow White supercomputers were in the process of being shut down. Everyone was getting a 502 bad gateway error. Now, 502 errors just mean that the gateway, a computer router used to move traffic from one network to another, wasn't able to complete the request because the web server behind it gave a bad response. And I find it unlikely that all these sites had the CIA servers literally hosting their websites, or they would still be down right now. So that would imply that the load balancer was unable to get a valid response from the actual web server. If the CIA had infected these load balancers with software to route the traffic through their server first, before allowing it through the actual server, that would match the symptoms we see here. It would also mean that their software was either written in a way that it automatically rolled back over to normal processing if the CIA server was down for a long period of time. So when these servers went down, people saw errors on some of the sites and everything readjusted. So Corona and Big Bird are terms for spy satellites. And the CIA had a Corona program. And this was back in the 50s, and the CIA yanked it away from the United States Air Force. So we could see that what it looks like from this is that the CIA clowns can't use the platform to monitor Q or monitor anything right now. The assets are in control of the white hats. No loss of military capabilities or loss of ability to monitor foreign threats. However, the clowns have lost control. They can't target Q's activities, and it looks like they might be flying blind right now. Post 220. GCHQ Bude, B-U-D-E, sent distress SIG 809 Eastern Standard Time. NSA, no more Q. Post 2021, everything that Post 2020 says. Under it says, main frequency bands terminated. Hashtag goodbye Q. So Bude's antennas are often angled toward the Intelsat satellites, as well as those of its former Eastern Bloc Inter-Sputnik equivalent and the Inmarsat system. The satellites are positioned over mainland Europe as far as the Urals, the Atlantic and the Indian Oceans, Africa, and the Middle East between them. They deliver voice and data communications for the world's leading media telecoms, companies, multinational corporations, internet service providers, and government agencies. Bude also contributes to the mysterious commercial and private communications intercept system named Echelon, established worldwide between GCHQ and the National Security Agency. So that might explain why Q is putting up this message with GCHQ where they had a distress signal go out. So an Anon says this was a major operation and we're seeing it go down right in front of our eyes. Neutralize the clowns, dwarves equal servers, coronas equal satellites, Big Bird equals satellite. It's all down. And the GCHQ Bude is a UK ground-based signals intel listening stations as part of the Five Eyes. It was used to connect with our NSA and all related satellite systems. This info is publicly available. And Q is suggesting that it's been cut off. Post 2022. An Anon put up on Fox Now, or kept Weissman in the loop on dossier. Weissman is Mueller's bulldog. Q said, big, all caps. And an Anon put up, Weissman is and has been a lawyer for the Clintons and has many overturned convictions during this time when in charge. A lot of people lost their jobs because of this man who chased people or businesses in the courts. People died in jail because of this idiot. He abused people that he was told to chase after. And it goes on and on about Weissman, but the thing that we need to know right here is, or one of the people being investigated in the Department of Justice was in close contact with Weissman, one of Mueller's lead investigators. That is a conflict of interest that POTUS keeps referring to as Mueller's conflicted team of investigators. Mueller knew Bruce Orr helped write the fake dossier. Mueller knew Steele hated Trump and was very eager to keep Trump from becoming president. Mueller knew Hillary Clinton fully funded the fake dossier. Mueller knew Bruce Orr was keeping his lead attorney Weissman in the loop before the special counsel was created. Post 2023. And Anon put up, yep, DDoS 502s and CAPTCHA with means over the target. Q wrote, retaliation, Horizon active. Now, a lot of Anons are going back and forth about Horizon active. And one person put up something very interesting that's referring to the CIA and how they conducted and oversaw the Silent Horizon Internet war game. It's almost like September 11th, but it is done with the Internet hitting financial institutions, businesses, power infrastructure, and things like this. This was a 3-day exercise known as Silent Horizon. and is meant to test the ability of government and industry to respond to escalating internet disruptions over many months, according to this report. So, does that mean retaliation horizon is now active, that the deep state is going to try to do something? We'll have to see about this. Maybe more Annans will have something on this later on. Post-2024, there's 2 articles from Fox News. It says Department of Justice Bruce Orr kept Mueller deputy in loop about anti-Trump dossier sources, and the other one, Trump threatens Department of Justice FBI to start doing their job or he'll get involved. And Q says the whole world is watching Q. And we discussed this earlier, saying that, listen, do your job or he's going to declassify everything. Now, we still have corrupt players in these departments, so we'll have to see how this plays out. Q put up everything that was in the last post to 2024 in 2025, and then put the Punisher. Here comes the pain. So Q put up a link on 2025 also that has Trump at Indiana, and he's speaking there, and it says Trump on Hillary Clinton. Look at what she is getting away with, but let's see if she gets away with it. Now, that is very interesting. Why? Because when was the last time Trump actually talked about crooked Hillary facing justice? In most recent rallies, he'll mention her name, but he never talked about potentially locking her up. So, to me, this is a signal that we are getting very, very close, because now we can see he's pushing the Department of Justice, the FBI, and saying that he'll reveal this unless you do your job. Post 2026, put up a link, nsa.gov1.info, Utah Data Center, Utah all caps. What are the odds of that, Q? Now, this site that Q is pointing to is a parody site of the NSA. And he's telling us to look at the shocking info and surveillance that is being done on all of us. And it's not approved NSA site, but it has a roadmap for what the NSA is doing. So think about it. Who's in Utah? Huber. What data is in Utah? The data that the deep state has been collecting. Think jurisdiction. Now we understand why Huber is in Utah doing all this, because he has to get to the data, he has the jurisdiction, and he has the ability to do all the work right there. Post 2027. Q says information comes from many forms. Q. It is a parody site, but I read Q comment as there is truth there. Post 2028. Q put up everything from 1996 and then put up additional articles, and I'll just read the first one. Poll 60% disapprove of Trump, while clear majorities back Mueller and Sessions. Now, rest of the articles, there's a lot of articles here, say pretty much the same exact thing. Q says, think polls posted yesterday, Washington Post. What are the odds of that? Notice any similarities. Sample, and gave a whole sample. Do you believe in coincidences? Q. What's happening here? So Trump and Sessions had a fight, and they aired their disagreements on Twitter and everywhere else. The mainstream media, the deep state, picked this up, and now they're saying the people are for Sessions. They're for Mueller. What have they just done? They turned the mainstream media and made them make Sessions look like that's the one that should be there. This wasn't a coincidence. This was planned. Post 2029. Put up everything from post 2028. Down below it says, think Washington Post. QAnon yesterday, poll. POTUS today, poll. Notice any similarities. Fake news readers asleep, not attentive or alert, inactive, told to support Sessions. Every battle is won before it's ever fought. Are you awake? Now let's just think about this for a second. We know what's going on. We've been researching this. We've been going over this. Q's been telling us all this stuff. The people out there that have no knowledge of anything, they're still sleeping. They haven't been researching. The mainstream media just told them to trust Sessions. Whoa. Think about this for a second. What is the mainstream media going to do now? Don't trust Sessions? They just told the world to trust Sessions. They were just trapped. There's no way out of this. They just told the entire population that whatever Sessions does, you need to trust it. It's going to be the fact. It's going to be real. It's going to be the truth. Who works for Sessions? Huber, Horowitz. Who does the investigation? Huber, Horowitz. Who prosecutes? Sessions. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.